Afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. If you could just remember to keep yourself muted while we're in the meeting, and if you have any questions or follow-ups you want to do afterwards, just contact Jason or myself, and we'll get back to you. We are recording this meeting, and just like in future or past events, I should say, we will post this on YouTube and then send an email out to everyone if you want to follow up on it later. Today, we're going to kick things off with Jason, and then I get some updates on prefab and warehousing to go over with you. Jason, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining. I do have quite a lot of things to fly through here. Unfortunately, we have had a good amount of injuries since our last Foreman's meeting. But before that, some housekeeping items, some things that fall through the cracks. Toolbox talks. We still require weekly toolbox talks to be conducted. I don't mind if you do them on Monday, Friday. I personally don't mind what day you do them on, as long as it pertains to the work that you guys are actually doing, that your crews are doing. We still have a plethora of toolbox talks that you can use off of Bluebeam. They're in every safety folder on every job on Bluebeam. They're still in there for use. All we request that you get signatures on them and get them signed and have them re-uploaded, document them somewhere on Bluebeam. We still have that app too, safety meeting app. We still have that availability. If you would like that option, you can reach out to myself and IT, and we can get you set up with that. That has thousands and thousands of toolbox talks. Also, if the GCs are offering toolbox talk material for you guys to use, feel free to use that. It doesn't have to be one of our options and one of our sign-in sheets. It can be anything you guys want to use, as long as you're getting them done. If you have trouble with printing them out and signing them, or if you don't have a printer, or if all you have is an iPad, talk to me. We'll figure something out for you so we can get it done. The safety meeting, the people that have been using, if you have any feedback for that too, please let me know. It's a newer app. We're working through things with the owners there. So if you have any feedback, please let me know. So incidents, and if you see me looking over the side, I'm reading notes off my iPad. I'm not avoiding eye contact with the screen here. But incident reports, we've had eight incidents since our last meeting last month. We're getting up there. We're getting up there in injuries. It's time to wind things back in a little bit, reel it back in here. I request everybody have a talk with the crew every single morning and remind them, if things are going fast, slow down, take a minute, take a breath. If you need to stop and recalibrate what you're doing, take a second and do that. Because we've had some injuries that were definitely avoidable in the past month, or in the past few months, actually. One of them was a drill. Somebody drilling through rod, went through the other side, bit went right into hand. Poor hand placement. That was definitely avoidable. We've had 3 trips and falls in the past month as well. One getting off of a ladder. Another one, we had one last month that ended up being a very serious injury. This one as well, just getting off the ladder, rolling the knee, out of work for a few months. One slip off of staging or scaffold stairs, ended up being recordable as well, because it was written out of work for a couple days. And then one just tripped walking on the ground, dirt floor, rocks. Situational awareness, the ones coming off the ladder, your knee pops, those are unavoidable. Things happen in people's body. It's a physical industry. It's laborious tasks. It happens. The ones where it's tripping over things that are on the ground, avoidable. Definitely we can avoid those. Housekeeping is a big thing in safety. It might not seem like it's a safety related topic, but housekeeping definitely has a lot of injuries come back to poor housekeeping and poor job site maintenance. So if it's our stuff, we need to own it. If it's other trade stuff, we need to bring it to the general contractors and get it cleaned up. If your job site's a mess, definitely bring it to somebody's attention. I know you guys definitely do, and normally the work is bring it up to people, but definitely get that into them. This housekeeping has been a killer for us this year. We had another report this past week that was a late report. We've seen this a million times, and we drill it into the foreman here to remind crews that if you get injured, to report it in a timely manner. Especially if it's a CSIP job, if you don't report it in a timely manner, that CSIP, the insurance that we'd be going through, either the owners or the contractor's insurance, will fight back and not pay, and it will fall on us. We're still going to push for it. We're still going to fight if people have a late report. We're still going to report it just as normal and fight for them. But it comes with some serious kickback. So remind your guys that even if it's a minuscule thing, rolled your ankle and think that it's nothing, report it, because a month down the line it might still hurt, and then you might report it, and might be a little bit troublesome with insurance. But just remind the guys to, and especially with the jobs that are starting to ramp up, and anyone that's been on some of these mega jobs with a lot of guys, there's a lot of small injuries that fall through the cracks. If we could get ahead of it now and start reminding guys going down the line that report every single thing in a timely manner, that would be great. Good news, we did hire another safety officer. He will be dedicated full-time to the Mass General Hospital as the on-site safety professional there. His name is Randy Cookingham. If you get a chance to meet him, he's out this week traveling job sites with myself and with Gary Doyle. So if you get a chance to meet him, fantastic. He's a great guy. If you're going to be out at the Mass General too, that's awesome for you guys, because he's going to be a good fit out there. That's all I have, Sean. Sorry, guys. I know it's a lot of stuff to just rifle off, but that's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. I really only have one thing to go over this quarter, and it's changes that are happening with prefab. At our last quarterly meeting, I had mentioned that prefab was relocating to a new facility in Braintree, a larger facility. And as many of you know, that this didn't happen. There were a lot of internal discussions about what would be best, and ultimately it was decided that this location would be better suited for other purposes. This location could have helped with some space constraints for prefab and warehousing and tools, but it also would have separated them. And this was probably one of the best byproducts of us moving to Stoughton in the first place. So the management team is still out there looking to see if they can find a larger facility that can support us, but it's the goal of keeping us all under the same roof, which I think is in our best interest. In the meantime, we're looking to make some changes to the Stoughton facility to maximize our available space, and we're asking for your help. Prefab has been reconfigured slightly to better prepare for the number of and the size of builds that we're going to be making over the next year, and taking a little more space in the warehouse, but we're also trying to compensate by putting additional racking and things like that in there to compensate. Because of the more space that we're taking and the more labor that we're going to be putting in there to make these larger builds, I think at this point we have 20 electricians working in prefab. We're asking that if you're going to participate with prefabrication and you're going to have them build these assemblies, do your best to provide them with the most accurate due on-site dates that you can, and then make sure you can take some of this stuff when it's built, just to try to keep things moving along in there. We also need to look at leftover material. Many of you guys know that we started a available material sheet, and a lot of you guys have taken advantage of it, and it has been working, but unfortunately we accumulate far more material than we can repurpose. So at this point, many of the items have to be either thrown away or scrapped just to make space for our needs. So remember, going forward, avoid sending any surplus material back to the warehouse. Try to coordinate with your vendors. Typically, they will take unopened boxes of generally stocked material. You can try to coordinate material deliveries to other projects. Maybe there's another thing going on someplace, and someone can take that cart of material or hardware you've been building since the beginning of the job. Talk to Tony. Talk to Tony, and he can tell you who's going and where you can potentially send that stuff to. Another thing you might be able to do is talk to the client, to the building owner, You know, often they have space constraints of their own, but it's generally considered a positive gesture, and it might even help you out a little bit. If you got some paint work in there, you have access to that material that's been on you about getting rid of. Another thing you can do is you can toss it on site, and this is a last resort. So please discuss that with your PM or Tony. But if you have returned everything you returned to vendors, and there's no one else wants the material that you have there, consider disposing of it on site. It costs us to ship it, to handle it, dispose of it. So the best option may be just to dispose of it on site. We are also going through our tooling inventory and selling or disposing of older or unneeded tools. Tooling takes a lot of space too. Gang boxes, various size material carts and ladders, they all take up a lot of space. One thing a foreman can do is to share your plan for tooling up and tooling down with the tool manager. Let them know I'm starting this thing in October, and then by December I'm going to need this, and then in April I'm going to be coming down. All that information is going to help him understand, you know, your needs and be able to merge them into other project needs and try to make sure you have what you need, but we can maybe offset some of the other things that we don't need to someplace else. I mentioned we're selling some of this stuff. I mean, if you're interested, you can take a look. Everything we're selling on Facebook Marketplace. Just go there and type in Solimax sales, and you can see the listings of stuff. And maybe you want a bandsaw or a hammer drill or something for your kid or a neighbor or something like that, you know. But yeah, just trying to kind of move some stuff along that we don't really use anymore. Avoid shipping things directly to the warehouse. Often I go into the warehouse and I see rolls of MI cable or pallets of MC cable or basket tray or other kind of commodities that are bought from our local vendors and then just staged at the warehouse to be later shipped to site. So if you can, just try to think about, you know, what you're buying. If you have space at the job site to store this, and just try to avoid staging it at the warehouse. Sometimes the vendor will even hold on to some of this material if you just can't take it to the job right away. But just do your best to try to prevent it from coming into the warehouse. We're also looking into remote storage to relocate some of our seldom used equipment. You know, there's things that we have there that don't get used very often that kind of will be used at some other later time. We got baker stations the guys use for plan benches. Lots of Rubbermaid carts and stuff in there. All this is just big items that take up space. So just looking at what we can do to try to maximize the available space that we have, and then keep our prefab team moving. All these little things we think are going to help us in the next year or so, you know, as we're, you know, preparing for the big prefab items that are coming, and just try to do whatever you can do to try to help us along there. And it's appreciated. All right, that's all I have this quarter. I think John might be on the call, maybe. Maybe not. Okay. Well, the next meeting is scheduled for December 19th. We'll send out a meeting request. And again, thanks for all your time today. Take care.